Racism was overt, it was right in your face, you know. We used to go to parties, and we used to have a special parties we call Shubin, which was where you went to these, how would I say, in a basement, one way in, one way out, and one would argue that it's illegal drinks being sold, but that was the culture. You went and you had loads of fun, and it went on until 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning. For others, mine was actually self-defense because of the fact that we were constantly being attacked by the police and by white racists. So we were football crazy. But during that time, how would I put it? Black people, black young men were being considered for in the football team, occasionally a couple. But that was as far as it went. One could argue that we think black because we were seen as outsiders within the society. In the 80s when the riots came about, it was a build-up from the 70s right through, because there was so much racism and discrimination going on blatantly. From my perspective, the system or the government or the people in power expected it to be a black thing, you know, where it's all black people who we have been a victim, but they expected us on the street rioting. And the strange thing for them was, it wasn't black people, it was the community rioting, you know, because all these people were from the same community, we are all from the same, and we had no problem with our next door neighbor. They were the one who was being racist to us as such. It was the system, the police, you know, the local authorities, the civil service, all those places, schools, the colleges, those are the ones who actually kept keeping us down. You had to be twice as good or twice, you know, a much higher qualification than the next person to get a job or what the job requires. Otherwise, you stood very little chance of even getting through that door. You're also being convicted of, how do I put it, nothing, you know, because at that time we had laws which made us targets. They were just targeting us, you know, they could just charge us for nothing, you know, as long as you're being a suspected person meant that you could be charged and convicted for just looking at me because of my skin color. So all those things were in place to keep us, how do I put it, in our place as far as I saw it, and we were not going to accept it anymore. I think the police was our major problem. You know, we have this thing going where Black Lives Matters now, but those days Black lives didn't matter. And loads of young people and black men were being hurt, killed, whatsoever, and nobody batted an eyelid about it. And most of the time, some of the things that happened to us, nobody even wanted to know. We were just being picked up by the police, beaten up, charged, and we were put before the courts, and we had no defense. 9 out of 10 times we were convicted for things that we had no idea what it was about. This is well documented. You know, it might seem like all hat, but it isn't. It's still going on in another way. It's problems because we were not going to accept it as the younger ones. My parents might have, but we were not prepared to accept it. And that's where the problem, we would fight back. And we started to, because we started to make sure that if we're not going to use weapons, we could use our self-defense, our fists. And they started to say, there's a problem down the road, it's the Jamaicans. Because everything now was Jamaican, because we were the ones who started to not accept overt racism, blatant racism or discrimination. We're not going to sit down and just lie down, you know, we were going to fight back.